Good evening and welcome to Experience Bar, where we turn video games into cocktails. My name is Jack and I'll be your bartender for this evening, so I show you how to make the only drink more potent than a dragon shout, the Cliff Racer from the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Let's get started. Great, so for the Cliff Racer, you will need to start off with your shaker, half filled or so with ice. Grab 1 ounce of brandy, 1 ounce of whiskey. I am using Canadian Club. Feel free to use whatever whiskey you like. You can use a bourbon as well. I tested it with Wild Turkey. If you like your drinks on the slightly sweeter end, that's a good choice. Follow it up with ½ ounce of red wine simple syrup. If you aren't sure how to make that, check the description below. It's very simple, hence the name. And ½ ounce of Campari. And last but not least, ½ ounce of lemon juice. And you're going to give that a bloody good shake. Whew. Right, now grab your vessel filled with ice. You don't have to have ice. I just like this drink in this particular glass to have a little bit of ice to it. I think it looks a little bit better. You're then going to strain it. If you are using a cobbler like this, make sure to fine strain it. If you're using a Hawthorne strainer and a Boston shaker, you usually don't need to. And you're going to garnish this with a cute little lemon garnish like this. Looks like some wings, I like to think. There we go. Pop it there. And that's it. That is the Cliff Racer from the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Whoop! Oh God, look at that. Whoa! I didn't know this was a magic show as well. Look at that. Oh, goodness gracious. Anyway. Cheers. Spilled it. Spilled it. That's why you don't top it up. Right. Okay, let's try that again. Ooh. So for those of us who haven't played Morrowind, you might be wondering what a Cliff Racer actually is. So basically it's this small flying lizard that is really annoying to fight in Morrowind, right? They're really fast. Their hitboxes are completely broken, which combined with Morrowind's combat system makes them incredibly irritating. And then they chase you across the map as well. It's quite a relief to think that when you step into the snows of Skyrim that you're not going to have to deal with them anymore. Unfortunately, that's not the case because it seems like the Cliff Racers have followed us all the way up north as well. Though they're not quite in the form that we expect. We have a drinkable version of the Cliff Racer, courtesy of Talon-Jei of the Bee and Barb Inn Riften, the only mixologist in the entirety of Tamriel, apparently. It's one of the 3 cocktails that he offers the player, and thankfully he actually spells out his recipe. He's got Cyrodiilic Brandy, so we got brandy. There's Flin, which is a kind of whiskey, so we got whiskey. And there is red wine. We got red wine. But there is a 4th ingredient, which is a little bit more complicated. Sujamma. Despite Sujamma being an incredibly prevalent part of the Elder Scrolls universe, it appears in quite a few of the games. It's never actually explained what it is, how it's made, or what it tastes like, at least not in any kind of concrete terms. Here's what I mean. In the Elder Scrolls Online, there's a crafting recipe for Sujamma, which has wheat, lemon, and a small bitter red berry in it called comberry. Okay, it's a bit of a clue. Then you look into Skyrim, where it has a Dragonborn DLC, and there's a quest in that where you help a bartender distribute his Sujamma. But he says that he's changed the recipe somehow, which makes it sound like there's a lot of different variation depending on the locals that you are. It might be like a flavored vodka or a flavored gin or just a moonshine, maybe. And then you get to the best source of all, Morrowind, the game itself. Deep in the game files, you really have to dig for this. There is a small description of what Sujamma is. It says that it's potent and it confirms that it's bitter. You combine all of that together and to me, it sounds like an Italian Amaro, right? That's potent, stronger than wine and beer at least. It's bitter most of the time. It has lots of little localized varietals, depending on where in Italy that you buy it. And the version that we're using, it's red from that bitter red comberry. And we're using Campari for the our Amaro. That's because it's popular and that fits with the whole Sujamma is everywhere kind of deal. And also it's very easy to get. So if you guys feel like recreating this, you can. All of that work digging through the game files and researching this is worth it though, because now we can actually recreate the Cliff Racer in real life. It is actually one of my favorite drinks that we've made on this show. Most of the flavor comes from the red wine simple syrup and the Campari, lots of bitter flavors, a lot of red fruit flavors. Not so much on the whiskey and the brandy, they kind of get lost along the way somehow. They do provide a nice backing of oak for the rest of the ingredients to play on top of, but I would recommend not using kind of single malt stuff for this. Use whatever's in your shelf. Not to disparage St. Remy or Canadian Club, but I wouldn't use kind of $100 stuff for this. It won't come through unless you're choosing something particularly potent. And that's it, that's the Cliff Racer from the Elder Scrolls Skyrim. Thank you so much for joining me. I've been Jack Stone, this has been Experience Bar, and thank you to Talon-Jei for giving us the recipe so easily. If you like what we're doing here, give us a like and subscribe, it really does help. Head over to our Patreon for an additional recipe book with more to come out for our patrons. Or if you want to see all the outtakes that I inevitably make and all the fuck-ups that I do, head over to our socials, and we're creating new content every 2 weeks, so keep an eye out for us in your notifications. Hope to see you there, but until then, cheers.